Welcome once again to Auto Mundial, the weekly home of all the latest motoring news and reviews. This week, the V8 muscle car might be on its way out, but that does not mean that the muscle car itself has to die.
Plus, thought the petrol-powered Fiat 500 was gone? Well, think again.
We've also got an Alpine with a vision of the future.
That's all coming up. First though, the news.
First set up as the main factory producing Vauxhall's lineup of smaller cars in 1962, the Ellesmere Port factory has lived through a long history over the last 60 years. Since 2022, however, and its repurposing towards electric-only models, its future has looked to be in the balance, with demand struggling to follow the plant's output, and certainly not recuperating the costs involved in its transformation. But it seems that now the plant is well and truly in for the long haul, as Stellantis, the group that owns Vauxhall, has announced that it is once again repurposing the factory. The auto giant is now using the location as a parts distribution centre for 10 of the 11 UK-bound Stellantis manufacturers set to stock parts for all the models from Peugeot, Citroën, Vauxhall, DS Automobiles, Alfa Romeo, Jeep, Fiat, Fiat Professional, Abarth and Leapmotor. The facility now employs 230 people, helping to keep track of the 140,000 different part types kept within the warehouse. Perhaps not the manufacturing giant it once was, Ellesmere Port is still one of the many elements of Britain's rich automotive industry, something other historic plants can no longer claim.
Mind-bending power figures, instant torque and acceleration to send your organs rearwards. It's no secret that battery electric vehicle tech comes pretty close to the old-school model of the American muscle car. It even matches the V8 lump's short range between pit stops. And so, surprise, surprise, as muscle car manufacturing icon Dodge has launched its new shaped Charger as an all-electric sports coupe with well over 670 brake horsepower. But now, the Charger is not just a coupe, it's also available as a four-door saloon. Yes, the Charger has returned to its pre-overhaul roots with plenty of space for four aboard a gut-wrenchingly powerful platform built in equal measures for the school run and the drag strip. Visually, this new four-door Charger is pretty much just a stretch variant of its two-door sibling. But what else could you expect? Of course, we prefer the agile look that the coupe provides rather than this elongated bus. But in terms of practicality for the common Joe, this model should fulfill its role a little better. Inside, it's very much the same story. The Charger retains its LED heavy cabin full of screens, ambient lighting and illuminated haptic feedback controls. Behind all of that, though, is a nicely decorated set of buckets and a plush bench behind that. Both rows of seats get decent legroom and headroom that, while not SUV rivaling, is better than the coupe model. Yes, it might sound like Dodge has strapped a booster jet to a V8 engine aboard the four-door Charger, but much like the two-door model, it's very much an EV. This blaring startup procedure, simply amplified by the manufacturer's Fratsonic exhaust, essentially a bit of plumbing with a speaker hidden deep inside. Indirectly making that sound are the 670 horses that go to all four wheels thanks to a pair of electric motors. Under the floor, a 94 kilowatt-hour battery gives the Charger its 240-mile range in Scat Pack form. While that doesn't sound like a lot, it is enough in distance in between charging stops to sit the Charger alongside perhaps its closest rival, the BMW i5, in M60 form.
The Bavarian model exceeds the American muscle car's range by about 15 miles despite a smaller 84.3 kilowatt-hour battery. Dual motors and all-wheel drive allow for 593 brake horsepower and speedy acceleration to 62 from a standstill in just 3.3 seconds. That's all a little less formidable than its American rival, but realistically, will you ever notice a difference on the road? One thing you will notice when out and about, however, is the Beamer's looks. BMW kidney grills have been growing for a good half-decade now, and yet we're still struggling to come to terms with the looks. The same can be said for the rest of the car, as where the Dodge is a sleek throwback to yesteryear, full of flowing lines and curvaceous details, the i5 feels like an oversized mess of jagged angles. If we prefer the exterior looks of the Dodge, that certainly is not the case inside. Unlike the American's cheaper natured cabin, BMW has pulled out all of the stops for a flashy, sporty and high-tech place to be. Thick chairs and large armrests suck you in and bolster your weight through harsh corners, whilst a small, nimble steering wheel eggs you on to chuck the car through twisty roads. A more streamlined dual display shows that BMW is more with the times than Dodge, as does the more responsive infotainment software. An executive model at its core, the i5 is also quite a bit larger inside than the Charger, and so, be it in the front or the back, we would expect the latest sporty electric German saloon to fit 4 adults with ease. The price for all this extra interior comfort? Well, sadly, the i5's top M60 variant comes in at $85,000. That's $10,000 more than the Dodge's Scat Pack. The question now is, would you rather raw power or a bit of sophistication?
Four doors, 5 seats, marginally higher seating position and a boot big enough for the weekly shop. Here in the UK, mid-size crossovers are the go-to body style, and king among them all is the Nissan Qashqai. But there is one issue with the mid-size format, and that is space. Sure, those inside get just about enough room for a short commute, but longer journeys aren't exactly what you would call comfortable. And don't even dream of trying to fill the boot with suitcases for longer trips away. So to address the issue, Dacia is here with a plus-size version of its budget-conscious SUV. Can you guess what the big duster is called?
This is the Dacia Bigster, and having been launched at last year's Paris Motor Show, it's now available to purchase here in the UK, just in time for your summer holidays. With an extension to the rear end, the Bigster features both longer legroom for rear passengers and a larger boot, capable of swallowing a good 3 or 4 extra carry-ons versus the Duster. Much like its sibling, the Bigster is quite barren on the inside, especially as standard. The dashboard and centre console are sturdy, while a 10-inch screen alongside an integrated phone holder are about all the luxuries of note. Opt for the higher trim level and you do get dual-zone aircon, a panoramic sunroof and an electrically adjustable driver's seat. Power in the Dacia comes in either 130, 140 or 155 brake horsepower denominations. The latter gets plug-in hybrid tech from a 1.8-litre 4-pot and 1.4 kilowatt-hour battery, while the first two are simple mild hybrids sharing the same 1.2-litre 3-cylinder. In the past, we've recommended the mid-range TCE 140 for its cheaper starting price of £25,000, though the leap to PHEV tech is not far, with the hybrid 155 available from 28. So for the £30,000 starting price of the class-leading Nissan, you could very much get your hands on the top powertrain Bigster, and a top trim level one at that, which calls into question why Nissan deserves your money.
The obvious scapegoat when comparing Dacia to a more mainstream rival is interior quality. As we say, the Bigster is rather sparse inside, with minimal tech and a collection of materials that don't inspire much allure. The Qashqai's cabin, on the other hand, has evidently been thought out a little more. Floating centre console trim, a sleek dashboard shape, well-placed armrests and easy-to-use controls all make the Japanese model a little more pleasing to the eye. And no, it isn't a case of form over function, as niceties like adaptive cruise control, this large 12-inch screen with Google built in, plus a whole heap of safety features all come as standard. The sunroof, two-tone upholstery and fancy Bose speaker set all come at an extra cost, with higher trim levels exceeding the £40,000 barrier. That's £10,000 more than the top Dacia. Power in the Qashqai comes in either 1.3-litre four-cylinder mild hybrid form or from a 1.5-litre full hybrid dubbed the e-Power. The full fat model gets 190 brake horsepower, whilst the mild hybrid is available in either 140 or 158 bhp denominations. According to Nissan's own figures, you get about a 15 miles per gallon increase with the former, so whether that's worth the £2,000 price increase, we'll leave that up to you. Supposedly, however, the Dacia Bigster in its most efficient form will manage 61 mpg on combined cycles, some 5 more than Nissan's Qashqai e-Power figures. When we consider the price difference, we really would like to see a greater step between the two cars, something Nissan simply cannot prove. The Qashqai may now be an established member of the family crossover segment, but in our opinion it shows little advantage over the plucky Dacia Bigster.
After the break, petrol? Nah. Electric? Nah. Hydrogen? In fact, it's the future, says Alpine. Welcome back. Coming up, the future of sports cars still has a decent tune to it.
Combustion or electrification? That is the question. But what if there was a third option for the future of automotive power? Well, many manufacturers would claim that there is in fact just one option, and that being hydrogen. Be it in liquid form powering an electric motor through electrolysis or as a gas sent to burn within cylinders, the abundant resource is looking like a strong contender as the de facto power source of the future. Though French sports car manufacturer Alpine would argue that that future is not all that far away. This is the Alpine ALPENGLOW, a concept car with a fully functional hydrogen-burning 3.5-litre V6 developing 740 brake horsepower, one hell of an exhaust note, and all that while sending not 1 gram of CO2 into the atmosphere. A proof of concept preparing Alpine's future endeavours in motorsport when the 24 Hours of Le Mans introduces its upcoming hydrogen-powered class, the ALPENGLOW made its public rolling debut earlier this year on track. It has punch, it has a set of lungs to it too, and gunning it around the iconic circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, this new hydrogen beast shows that eco-friendly does not necessarily mean boring nor slow. Looking the way it does with its long body, sharp edges and race-oriented cabin, the ALPENGLOW will certainly never see the light of road-going production. What it will do for consumers, however, is help advance development towards hydrogen-powered sports cars featuring the brilliant rumble of internal combustion, and that's something we can get behind.
Another electric-only model once again returning to some form of internal combustion engine. It's very much a sign of the times. Last year, Fiat announced that due to a lack of demand for its all-electric Fiat 500e, it would be scaling back production of the little city car. Well, as you can see, the Mirafiori factory is now very much back up and running and full of 21st century Cinquecentos. But instead of battery packs and single pedal driving, they get a soon-to-be-revealed front grille, a 6-speed manual gear stick and a clutch pedal, all signs of a step back from electrification. What you're looking at here is in fact a new, upcoming Fiat 500 sporting hybrid tech in pre-production form. Camouflage hides what is expected to be a redesigned front grille, helping to circulate air to the 1-litre 3-cylinder engine of Fiat design that is set to power the diminutive hatchback. Instead of following the Grande Panda in its move towards the Stellantis-built 1.2-litre PureTech, space under the bonnet has left the Italian manufacturer to retain the old 500 hybrid's power source. In that old model, it was paired with a small 12-volt starter motor as a hybrid system, the whole thing totalling around 70 brake horsepower and easily managing a commendable 55 miles per gallon. With any luck, a little fettling from Fiat's boffins, and those numbers should improve a little. Originally planned as an early 2026 launch alongside a revitalised 500e, the so-called Fiat 500 Ibrida Nuovo, that's new hybrid to us less exotic folk, is on track to hit full production come November of this year. At that point, we'll finally get a look at the front end and dashboard. Forget its fleet of top-heavy budget SUVs, the brand is currently behind. Drop-top sports cars for the perfect Sunday drive is what the MG name is all about. Thankfully, the British moniker's new Chinese keepers have finally come around to the idea, as the British sports car is back in the form of the MG Cyberster. Sloping bonnet up front, curvaceous shapes at the rear and a grinning car enthusiast in the middle, with the wind passing through their hair. The latest MG certainly fits the part from the outside, but you may get the feeling there's something different with this one. No, it isn't the quirky, if not a tad gimmicky, arrow-shaped tail lights. Look at the rear end a little closer and you will notice a distinct lack of an exhaust pipe. Yes, the newest open-air Sportster from MG is all electric. Not to fear though, as every sign points towards this EV retaining a sense of old thanks to its layout. Two variants of the new Cyberster exist, and whilst the range-topping 510 brake horsepower all-wheel drive GT specification, complete with 3.2 second 0 to 62 time, will no doubt grab all the headlines, it's the lesser trophy edition that entices us. With the more traditional rear-wheel drive layout, this entry-level specification still gets in excess of 330 brake horsepower thanks to a single motor rather than the top trim's dual motor setup. Those opting for the trophy Cyberster will manage 62 miles per hour from a standstill in 5 seconds, whilst top speed for either model remains a healthy, yet not over-the-top 120. In either case, powering the motors is a 74 kilowatt-hour battery, good for a range of up to 276 miles in the more powerful model, or over 300 in the trophy. Competitive amongst most electric vehicles on the market today, it should just about get you and your glamorous passenger to your fancy weekend retreat. After ducking below the rather ostentatious, for an MG, scissor doors, you will find a cabin perfect for those Sunday drives and quick couple escapes. In front of the driver's seat is a nice and sporty flat-bottom steering wheel, complete with rotary dials for driving mode selection and the odd radio control, each with a nice shape holding your thumb in place. Further forward is a wraparound collection of not one, not two, but 3 screens. Replacing the usual infotainment display on the center console, the instrument cluster gets a 10.25-inch screen in the center, flanked by a pair of 7-inch units. Sorry passengers, you will have to get used to watching the roadside. Oh, and grasping this grab handle when mountainous passes get a touch too windy. Overall, the cabin is very minimalistic, but we enjoy the Cyberster's step away from today's passion for touchscreens. Storage space will be a struggle as there is little to no luggage capacity behind the seats, with the electrically operated roof stowing away cleanly. You do get a 250-litre boot, enough for a weekend's worth of luggage for 2 people, and it's not like the car will transport more than 2 anyway. Drop-top sports car with a fabric roof and charming looks, the MG Cyberster has all the hallmarks of a Mazda MX-5 rival. Though at its £55,000 starting price, nearly double that of the Japanese petrol burner, we think not. Next time on Auto Mundial, it's cause for celebration as the beloved BMW 3 Series hits half a century.